Hi, I'm teen pop sensation Local Cryptid, and this is Death's Door in a nutshell. Beware! Here, there be spoilers. Let's begin. Like every other day in my life, Death's Door kicks off with me turning up for work and immediately encountering some shenanigans that I didn't sign up for. Turns out a giant soul has turned up in the wild, and I have to go fetch it. But not before I go catch up with Office Bae Agatha the typist. For real. What an absolute babe. But it's not long before we find our quarry, the demonic forest spirit. She's the first boss of the game, so you gotta reckon I can beat her first. Okay, so the second time I bet. Well, you know what they say, third time's a... About a dozen attempts later, and she's finally on the deck. And I'm about ready to cash in on this giant soul when this bozo knocks me out and steals it. Once I recover from this needless shock, I take a traipse through the lost cemetery before crossing a needlessly long bridge and gazing at this comically oversized door. Speaking of comically oversized, next we go toe to toe with the guardian of the door, a being that is less door and more brick shithouse. It's a tough fight, and I had to memorize a lot of different attack patterns, some involving death lasers, but eventually it croaks before descending to the floor with a very satisfying thud. Oh look, it's that tall bird that stole my soul. Turns out he's a reaper like me, and he's searching for the soul he was assigned to bring in, but that he managed to lose behind the titular Death's Door. Get it? Like the game? Do you get it? Anyway, while their assigned souls are still out in the wild, reapers lose their unnatural immortality, so it's up to me to take on 3 more massive creatures who for completely unrelated reasons also have wildly expanded lifespans, steal their souls, and use them to open the door so we don't, die. First up, we're off to the estate of the Urn Witch, where we discover how fire works, and meet this exquisite fellow by the name of Pothead. After declining his offer of some tasty brain soup, yes, that is a line I just wrote and had to say aloud, we discover this ominous looking door that is practically famished for souls. So we begin what is the main loop of the whole game. Explore a large region filled with puzzles, fight a rotating cast of annoying minions, before realizing you've slaughtered dozens of them, oh my god, so much blood, oh my god, the blood, it won't ever wash off, and release the souls of our fallen Reaper comrades, each with their own ominous messages from beyond the grave before they get nommed on by the door. Collect enough random bird souls and the door will open, leading you back to your home base and this remarkable surprise treasure. Oh no, wait, it's a mimic. It's always a bloody mimic. Fight through a few waves of minions and suddenly you'll be spat back out, and this weird big bird-esque creature rewards you with some new magical fireball powers. Back in the bowels of the Urn Witch's manor, that old crone has kidnapped Pothead, who is apparently her grandson, before leading you on a frantic chase through her basement. Soon it's boss fight time, and Grandma here ain't going down without a fight. However, after a bullet hell boss battle from, well, hell, Grandma finally kicks the bucket and gives up the first of the 3 giant souls. Yeah, matricide! Up next, it's time to meet your employer, the Lord of Doors. They seem nice, but there's something about ominously staring out a window at that big scary door-shaped plot device that makes me think they might be up to something. After a quick visit to Typing Bay back at the office, and I mean it when I say I would absolutely go into battle for you, Agatha, it's time to hop on the Ghibli-esque rope gondola and head into the overgrown ruins. Mother here has a problem. She wants to help you move ahead in your journey, but she's missing a vital instrument she needs to do just that. After a few more waves of enemies come pouring out at you Kingdom Hearts styly, you are rewarded with what is absolutely the best, most screenshotable moment of the game, followed directly by the most cursed. One relaxing ditty from Mother later, and it's nearly time to move on, right after this moving and inspirational performance from Barb the Bard. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Upon entering the Mushroom Dungeon, you are greeted by none other than the Frog King himself. And soon, you're battling your way through the same loop of killing enemies. By the way, this guy is the worst one. Finding dead reapers and solving puzzles before being rewarded by the mysterious treasure that, okay, it's another mimic. But a few more waves of enemies later, and another giant crow ghost offers you your next magical power, proving that even the most magical of birds aren't smart enough to not get eaten by mimics, just like your mum. Another hard slog through some enemies awaits. By the way, I've changed my mind, this guy is the worst, before you face off against the Frog King, who absolutely hasn't been taking tips from George R.R. Martin about how to sound like a pompous nugget. The Frog King is actually a serious pushover once you get him out of his armor though, and with your second giant soul in tow, you start to wonder if this is what is possible when you get good. Back at the office, we check in with Agatha and her next level queen shit. I mean, for real, the hustle, the grind, the sweet words of inspiration, we are literally forced to stand. In short, please, step on me, bird mommy. I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me. A few of these journals that are lying around suggest there might be something nefarious behind this organization of immortal soul-collecting corvids. There is, however, absolutely nothing sordid or suspicious about Jefferson, everyone's favorite bipedal semi-simian chef, who's absolutely not being ratatouilleed by a cephalopod. I mean, seriously, where'd you get that preposterous notion? Up in Castle Lockstone, it's the same old routine. Solve some puzzles, kick some ass, and find a few dead reapers before being rewarded with being eaten by yet another mimic. When will we learn? Best another few waves of enemies and be given the hookshot ability, before discovering that maybe there is something a little sketchy about these quasi-immortal Lords of Doors. Pretty sus, guys. More importantly, it's time for another straight up banger from Barb the Bard. Seriously, that motherfucker spits straight fire every time, he just can't miss. Also, it turns out that some of the other Reapers might have gotten the idea that maybe being immortal soul collectors is a bit abhorrent to nature and have decided to hold up in the mountains and die in protest. Smart move, birds. It's time to slog through another bunch of enemies. By the way, I lied. This guy is absolutely the worst. Before we meet the true star of this segment, Betty. Now it's crunch time. Surely with all your training, this should be a piece of... Okay, that was a practice run. This time though, you're gonna... Okay, definitely this... Okay, this time It's maybe on your 20th time round the block that it all sinks in. The patterns, the telegraphing, the movement, the snowballs. It's all led to this final moment. And with one last swing of your sword, the great beast Betty is no more. It's official. You finally got good. Finally, with giant souls in tow, it's time to open Death's Door and find the souls we were supposed to reap in the first place. At least, that was the plan. Because what we actually find is... Yeah, it turns out any soul that enters Death's Door is absorbed into nothingness, so this whole plan has been for nothing. Our friend the Grey Crow does not take this news particularly well. In one of the most frustrating boss battles of the game thus far, we're left to scrap it out with our former mentor in the barren nothingness behind Death's Door. It takes everything we've got, every trick at our disposal, but finally, in one last bittersweet moment, we beat him. But does it really feel like a victory? I mean, lol, get wrecked, scrub. Finally, we discover that this entire soul-stealing enterprise has been a ruse to let the current Lord of Doors live forever, and as per usual, it's up to us to put a stop to it. So with all the skills we've learned, every trick up our sleeves, and with a non-zero amount of reloading when we mess up, it's time for the final showdown. It takes everything you've got, but eventually it all sinks in. The patterns, the telegraphing, the movement, the death lasers, it all leads to this moment. And with one last swing of your sword, the Lord of Doors falls to the ground with a satisfying thud. And that's Death's Door in a nutshell. I really enjoyed this game. It was far more difficult than I'd ever expected, but its charm and the compelling story kept me plugging away to the final moment. Death's Door is available on Xbox Game Pass and Game Pass for PC. Check out the link in the description for more information. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be super appreciated. Subscribe if you're new, and let me know in the comments what game I should try to compress into a nutshell next time. But for now, as always, thanks for hanging out.